The explosion lit up the night sky like a second sun. Taman walked away from the burning fortress without looking back. His armor was covered in dust and blood, none of it his own. Behind him, the pirate stronghold collapsed into rubble. 3 alien mercenary teams had tried to breach those walls in the past month. All 3 had failed. Taman did it alone in 4 hours. He climbed into his small ship and set the coordinates for the nearest trade station. The job was done. The payment would be waiting. That was all that mattered now. As the ship lifted off, Taman removed his helmet and stared at his reflection in the dark screen. A tired face looked back at him. Scars crossed his cheek and jaw. His eyes held the kind of emptiness that came from seeing too much death. The comm system beeped. A message from his employer confirmed the payment transfer. Taman deleted it without reading the congratulations that surely followed. He did not do this work for praise. He did it because fighting was all he knew anymore. Fighting and surviving. Across the galaxy on the beautiful world of Carthus Prime, Hana sat in her office reviewing diplomatic reports. As Earth's representative to the Galactic Coalition, her job was to make the other species respect humanity. It was harder than anyone back home understood. To the aliens who had traveled the stars for thousands of years, humans were newcomers. Primitives who barely deserved a seat at the table. Hana rubbed her tired eyes and opened another file. This one caught her attention immediately. It was marked classified, but someone had leaked it to her through an anonymous channel. The file spoke of human soldiers who had fought in a war 30 years ago, a war that officially never happened. The file listed names. Most were marked as killed in action, but some names had a different designation. Missing, presumed dead. One name stood out, Taman. No family name, no service number. Just Taman, and next to his name a single word in red text, dangerous. Hana leaned back in her chair. Who were these soldiers? Why did the Coalition want their war erased from history? She made a note to investigate further, though she knew it would be difficult. Secrets this old were buried deep. In the Chrysalian Empire, in a palace that floated among the stars, Empress Valira received her daily reports. She sat on a throne of crystalline metal, her appearance both beautiful and terrible. Her skin shimmered like polished silver. Her eyes were deep purple, ancient and cold. She had ruled the Chrysalian Empire for over 600 years, and through her power, she controlled much of the Galactic Coalition. Her advisor, a tall insectoid creature named Calrus, approached with hesitation. He knew better than to waste the Empress's time. "Speak," Valira said without looking at him. "There have been disturbances in the outer territories, Your Majesty. Several of our controlled sectors report unusual mercenary activity. Targets that should have been impossible to breach have fallen. Mercenaries are common in the outer territories," Valira replied, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. "Why do you bring this to me?" "Because, Your Majesty, all of these impossible missions were completed by a single individual. A human." For the first time, Valira turned her gaze to Calrus. Her expression did not change, but something flickered in those ancient eyes. Curiosity, perhaps, or the faintest hint of interest. A human. One human achieved what full teams could not? "Yes, Your Majesty." The reports are consistent. Different worlds, different jobs, but always the same result. Complete success. No witnesses left alive who could identify him, but security footage shows the same figure. Human, male, extremely efficient. Valira was quiet for a moment. Humans were a young race, weak by galactic standards. Their bodies broke easily. Their lifespans were laughably short. Yet this one human was making a name for himself in her territories. "Find him," she ordered. "Bring me information. I want to know who he is." Calrus bowed and left quickly. Valira returned her attention to the stars beyond her throne room windows. She felt nothing about this human. Not yet. He was simply an oddity worth investigating. Nothing more. Taman arrived at the trade station and collected his payment. The station was crowded with dozens of alien species conducting business. He moved through the crowd like a shadow, attracting no attention. That was how he preferred it. Anonymous. Forgotten. He entered a bar in the lower levels where the lighting was dim and questions were rarely asked. The bartender, a four-armed alien with blue skin, nodded at him in recognition. "Taman had been here before, the usual?" the bartender asked. Taman nodded and took a seat in the corner where he could watch the door. Old habits died hard. The drink arrived, something amber and strong. He drank slowly, listening to the conversations around him without seeming to pay attention. Two mercenaries at the next table were talking about a job. Something dangerous in Chrysalian space. The pay was enormous, but so was the risk. Empress Valera's enforcers did not tolerate independent operators in their territory. Getting caught meant death if you were lucky. Taman listened. The job involved infiltrating a weapons facility and stealing research data. High security. Multiple defense systems. The mercenaries were debating whether any amount of money was worth the risk. "Did you hear about that human?" one of them said. "They say he took down the Red Fang fortress alone. 3 teams before him tried and died, but this human walked in and walked out like it was nothing." "Impossible," the other replied. "Humans are weak. No offense to them, but they just do not have what it takes for real combat. I am just telling you what I heard. They are calling him the Ghost. Because he appears, completes the impossible and vanishes." Taman finished his drink and stood. He approached the mercenaries' table. Both looked up at him, surprised. "That job in Chrysalian space," Taman said quietly. "I will take it." The mercenaries looked at each other, then at him. One laughed. "You? You are human. No offense, but that job would kill you in the first hour." Taman placed a data chip on their table. "That contains proof of my last 12 jobs. Check it. If you still think I cannot handle it, I will leave." The mercenary picked up the chip with suspicion and plugged it into his handheld device. His eyes widened as he scrolled through the information. His partner leaned over to look. Both went quiet. "You are the Ghost," the first mercenary whispered. "The human everyone is talking about." "I do not care what they call me," Taman replied. "I care about the job. Do you have the details or not?" The mercenary swallowed hard and nodded. He transferred the mission file to Taman's device. "The pay is 200,000 credits, half up front. But I should warn you, this is deep in Chrysalian territory. If the Empress's people catch you, there will not be enough left of you to identify." Taman checked the file, memorizing the details in seconds. He transferred the upfront payment to the mercenary's account and turned to leave. "Wait," the mercenary called after him. "Why do you do this? Jobs like these will get you killed eventually." Taman paused at the door. For a moment he saw another face in his memory. Jiho, his old squad mate, smiling in the way he used to before everything went wrong, before they all died. "Because I am already dead," Taman said quietly. "I just have not stopped moving yet." He left the bar and returned to his ship. The coordinates were set for Chrysalian space. As his ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, Taman stared at the stars streaking past his viewport. He did not know that across the galaxy, Empress Valera had just received his name. He did not know that she had placed a bounty on any human matching his description. He did not know that the hunt had begun. All he knew was that he had another job to do, and he would complete it just like all the others. Because completing missions was simple. Living with the past was the hard part. Taman's ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a gray moon on the edge of Chrysalian space. According to his mission file, the weapons facility was hidden inside that moon, protected by shields and automated defense systems. Getting in would be difficult. Getting out alive would be nearly impossible. He did not care about the odds. He never did. Before approaching the facility, Taman made a detour to a space station orbiting a nearby gas giant. The station was old and poorly maintained, the kind of place where criminals and outcasts gathered. It was also where Minho operated his business. Minho was not human. He was a Vexarian, a species that looked like upright lizards with intelligent eyes and quick hands. He had been selling weapons and information for 40 years, and he knew more secrets than most government officials. He also knew Taman from long ago, from a time Taman tried hard to forget. The weapons shop was in the station's industrial sector. Taman entered through the back door, as always. Inside, Minho was working on a plasma rifle, his scaled hands moving with practiced precision. He looked up when Taman entered and his eyes widened slightly. "I thought you were dead," Minho said in his raspy voice. "So did everyone else," Taman replied. Minho set down his tools and studied Taman carefully. "It has been what, 10 years since you last came here? You look older, more tired. I need equipment, heavy shielding, EMP grenades, and a quantum decryption key." Minho whistled low. "That is serious hardware. What are you hitting?" A facility in Chrysalion space. The Vexarian's eyes widened further. You have lost your mind. Valera's people will hunt you across the galaxy for that. They are already hunting me, Taman said calmly. I just do not know it yet. Minho stared at him for a long moment, then started gathering the requested equipment. As he worked, he spoke quietly. I heard rumors about you. They say a human ghost is completing impossible missions across the outer territories. I knew it had to be you. Only someone from Unit Baiko could do what you were doing. Taman stiffened at the name. He had not heard those words spoken aloud in years. That unit does not exist anymore, Taman said coldly. No, officially it never existed at all. Minho placed the equipment on the counter. But I remember the Shadow War. I remember what you and your team did. You saved this galaxy from something that would have destroyed us all. And how did the Coalition repay you? They erased you from history. It does not matter anymore. The war is over. The team is gone. Is it gone? Minho leaned forward. I have heard things, Taman. Whispers. Some say there were survivors from Unit Baiko, hidden, scattered. Taman's jaw tightened. I watched them die. I carried Jiho's body myself. There are no survivors. Maybe, maybe not. Minho pushed the equipment toward him. This is free. Call it payment for what you did 30 years ago. But be careful. Empress Valera does not forget, and she does not forgive. Taman took the equipment and left without another word, but Minho's words followed him like ghosts. Back on his ship, Taman prepared for the mission. As he checked his weapons, his mind drifted back to the Shadow War. It had started without warning 30 years ago, when rifts in space began appearing across the galaxy. Things came through those rifts. Creatures that should not exist in this reality. They killed everything they touched and could not be stopped by conventional weapons. The Galactic Coalition panicked. Their mighty fleets were useless against an enemy that ignored the laws of physics. That was when Earth offered help. Humanity had been developing experimental technology, enhancements that could make soldiers into something more. The Coalition was desperate enough to accept. Unit Baiko was born. 20 soldiers, enhanced with technology that pushed the limits of what the human body could endure. They were faster, stronger, and more resilient than any normal human. But, more importantly, they could adapt to impossible situations in ways that other species could not. Taman had been one of them. So had Jiho, his closest friend. Together with their unit, they had fought the creatures from the rifts. They developed tactics, learned weaknesses, and slowly turned the tide of the war. In 3 years of brutal combat, Unit Baiko closed all the rifts and eliminated the threat. The galaxy was saved. But the Coalition could not let the truth be known. They could not admit that humans, the weakest and newest species, had saved them all. So they classified everything. They declared Unit Baiko killed in action and erased all records of the Shadow War. Taman escaped the final purge only because he had been on a mission when the order came down. By the time he returned, his entire unit was gone. Jiho was dead. Everyone was dead. The Coalition had eliminated them to protect its own pride. That was 15 years ago. Since then, Taman had been wandering the galaxy, taking dangerous jobs, trying to feel something other than emptiness. His thoughts were interrupted by an alert on his ship's computer. Someone was hacking into his systems. Taman's hand moved to his weapon, but then he saw the message appearing on his screen. Do not shoot, I am here to help. My name is Yuna. Taman frowned and ran a counter-trace. The hacker was good, but not good enough to hide from someone with Unit Baiko training. He found her location on the same space station he had just left. Who are you and what do you want? Taman typed back. I am human, Earthborn, and I know who you are. You are Taman from Unit Baiko. I have been tracking you for months. Taman's blood ran cold. If this girl knew about Unit Baiko, she had accessed files that should not exist, files that people had been killed for seeing. You are making a mistake, he typed. Forget what you think you know. I cannot forget. Unit Baco is why I became a hacker. You and your team are heroes. You saved the galaxy, and they tried to erase you. That is not right. It does not matter, they are all dead. Not all of them. I found something in the Coalition archives. Something they missed when they deleted the files. There were 5 survivors from Unit Baco. You are one. I think there are 4 others still alive. Taman stared at the screen. His heart pounded. It was not possible. He had seen them die. You are wrong, he typed. I am not. Let me show you. I can help you. Please. Against his better judgment, Taman gave her his location. 20 minutes later, a young woman arrived at his ship. She could not have been more than 25 years old. She had short black hair and eyes that burned with intensity. She carried a portable computer terminal under one arm. You should not be here, Taman said as she entered. Knowing about Unit Baco can get you killed. I know the risks. Yuna set up her terminal and pulled up files. Look at this. This is the official casualty report from the final mission. 20 names, all marked as killed in action. Taman looked away. He knew those names. He had memorized them. Now look at this. Yuna pulled up another file. This is a logistics report from the same time period. It shows medical transport for 5 individuals. The destinations are redacted, but the transport happened 2 days after the official report said everyone was dead. Taman studied the file carefully. His mind raced through possibilities. This could be anything. Medical transport for bodies. Bodies do not need medical transport. They need cargo transport. Yuna pulled up more files. I have been following the trail for 2 years. I cannot prove who the 5 survivors are, but I know they exist. And I know someone very powerful wanted them hidden, not killed. Who would do that? I do not know. But I know who wanted the rest of Unit Baco dead. Yuna's face went hard. Empress Valera. I found her signature on the elimination order. Taman felt something crack inside him. All these years, he had blamed the Coalition in general. He never knew who specifically had given the order. Now he had a name. Why would she do that? He asked quietly. I have a theory. I think the Shadow War was not what we were told. I think someone in the Coalition knew about the rifts before they appeared. Maybe even caused them. And I think Unit Baco found evidence of that during the war. Before Taman could respond, his ship's alarms blared. Multiple vessels were approaching at high speed. Military vessels. Chrysalian Empire signatures. They found me, Taman said, moving to the pilot seat. How? Yuna asked, frightened. Does not matter. Strap in. The ship launched just as the first weapons fire lit up space around them. Taman pushed the engines to their limits, weaving through the incoming fire with precision that seemed impossible. Behind them, 6 Chrysalian fighters pursued. There are too many, Yuna said, watching the tactical display. There are always too many, Taman replied. He flew toward the nearby moon where his target facility was hidden. The fighters followed, firing continuously. Taman waited until they were close to the moon's surface, then activated the EMP grenades Minho had given him. He launched them behind his ship in a wide spread. The electromagnetic pulses detonated, frying the electronics of 3 fighters. They spiraled out of control and crashed into the moon's surface. The remaining 3 fighters broke off their pursuit, regrouping. Taman did not give them time to recover. He looped his ship around and fired everything he had. His weapons were not military grade, but at this range and with surprise on his side, they were enough. 2 more fighters exploded. The last one tried to flee, but Taman hunted it down and destroyed it. Silence filled the ship. Yuna stared at him with wide eyes. How did you do that? Training, Taman said simply. But inside, he felt the old instincts awakening. The combat reflexes that Unit Baco had drilled into him until they became automatic. He set course away from Chrysalian space. The mission was compromised now. Valera would know a human had destroyed 6 of her fighters. The hunt would intensify. What do we do now? Yuna asked. Taman was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a decision. We find the others. If there really are 4 more survivors from Unit Baco, we find them. And then we find out why Empress Valera wanted us dead. Yuna smiled, but Taman did not share her optimism. He was not doing this for revenge. He was doing it because for the first time in 15 years, he had a purpose beyond the next mission. And in the Chrysalian Palace, Empress Valera watched footage of the battle. She watched one human in a small ship destroy 6 of her fighters with tactics that should not have been possible. For the first time in 600 years, Valera felt something she had not felt since she was young and mortal: fear. The small colony on Terrace 4 looked peaceful from orbit. Green fields stretched across the valleys, and small settlements dotted the landscape. It was the kind of place where people went to escape the chaos of the wider galaxy. According to Yuna's research, this was where one of the Unit Baco survivors was hiding. Taman guided his ship down to a landing pad outside the largest settlement. As he and Yuna disembarked, the quiet of the place struck him. No military presence, no advanced technology, just simple farming communities living quiet lives. Are you sure about this? Taman asked. Yuna checked her portable terminal. The records show a human named Deho purchased land here 12 years ago. The timing matches, and look at this. She showed him a grainy photo from a local newsfeed. A man helping rebuild a barn after a storm. The face was older, marked by years of peace, but Taman recognized it immediately. It is him, Taman whispered. They walked through the settlement. People looked at them with curiosity, but not hostility. A child waved at them. It felt wrong somehow. Taman had spent so many years in dangerous places that peaceful ones felt alien to him. They found Daiho working in his field, tending to crops under the afternoon sun. He wore simple clothes, and his hands were covered in dirt. He looked up as they approached, and his eyes met Taman's. For a moment, time seemed to stop. I knew someone would find me eventually, Daiho said quietly. I hoped it would not be for a few more years. Daiho, Taman said, his voice rough with emotion. I thought you were dead. I thought I was the only one left. Daiho smiled sadly. That is what they wanted us to believe. Come inside. We should not talk out here. His home was small but comfortable. Pictures of his life here covered the walls. Daiho with his neighbors. Daiho at community celebrations. A life of peace after years of war. They sat around a wooden table. Daiho poured them water and studied both of them carefully. Who is she? He asked, nodding at Yuna. A hacker who knows too much about Unit Baco, Taman replied. She found evidence that 5 of us survived. I am one, you are another. That means 3 more are out there somewhere. Daiho was quiet for a long moment. There are not 3 more. There are 2. What happened to the 3rd? Mion, she found me 6 years ago. We talked about finding the others and maybe exposing the truth about what happened to us. But the Coalition found her. She died protecting a group of refugees from pirates. Went down fighting the way she always said she would. Taman closed his eyes. Another name added to the list of the dead. Why did they let us live? Taman asked. Valera ordered the rest of Unit Baco eliminated. Why did someone hide 5 of us instead? I have spent 12 years asking myself that question. Daiho stood and walked to the window. I think someone in the Coalition had a conscience. Or maybe someone thought we might be useful again someday. I do not know. I stopped looking for answers because I found peace here. We are not safe, Yuna said. Empress Valera knows about Taman now. She is hunting him. Eventually she will find you too. Let her come, Daiho said with surprising calm. I am done running. I am done fighting. This is my home now. Before Taman could respond, his ship's computer sent an emergency alert to his wrist device. Multiple contacts approaching the colony at high speed. Military signatures. Not Chrysalian this time. Something else, we need to leave, Taman said, standing quickly.
Now, what is happening?
Daiho asked. They are here. We led them right to you. They rushed outside just as 3 large ships descended from the sky. They were black and sleek like predators made of metal. They landed around the settlement, blocking all exits. From their cargo bays, figures emerged. Taman felt his blood turn cold. These were not soldiers. They were something far worse. The Void Hunters. He had only heard stories about them during his time in Unit Baco. Ancient weapons created by a long-dead civilization. Part machine, part biological horror. They were bred for one purpose only: to hunt and kill specific targets without stopping until the mission was complete, or they were destroyed. The creatures stood 8 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in black armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid. Their faces had no features except for red optical sensors that glowed in the dimming light. Each carried weapons integrated into their arms. The colonists scattered, screaming. The Void Hunters ignored them. Their sensors swept the area until they locked onto their targets. Taman, Deho, Yuna. "Get the civilians to safety," Taman said to Deho. "I will hold them off." "No," Deho said firmly. "I am done hiding. We fight together like we used to." The first Void Hunter moved toward them with terrifying speed. Taman barely had time to dodge its weapon strike. The energy blade carved through a building behind him like it was paper. He rolled to his feet and fired his pistol. The shots hit the creature's armor but did no damage. Deho tackled Yuna out of the way as another Void Hunter attacked. Then he turned and faced the creature with his bare hands. For a moment, Taman thought his old friend had lost his mind. Then he saw Deho move. It was like watching time reverse. Deho moved with the speed and precision of his unit Beko days. His body remembered the enhancements even after 12 years of farming. He dodged the Void Hunter's attacks and struck at its weak points with devastating accuracy. His fists shattered armor plates. His kick sent the creature stumbling backward. Taman felt his own enhancements awakening. The combat programming buried deep in his mind came flooding back. He saw the battlefield with perfect clarity. He knew where each Void Hunter would move before it did. He knew how to kill them. He grabbed a fallen piece of metal and used it to deflect an energy blade. Then he moved inside the Void Hunter's guard and struck at the power core in its chest. His fist punched through armor and circuitry. The creature spasmed and collapsed. 2 down, 4 to go. Deho and Taman fought back-to-back as they had during the Shadow War. Their movements synchronized perfectly, covering each other's blind spots. The Void Hunters were powerful, but they were predictable. Unit Beko had been trained to fight the impossible. These creatures were deadly, but not impossible. Yuna watched in amazement from behind cover. She had read about Unit Beko's capabilities, but seeing it in person was something else entirely. These were not just enhanced soldiers. They were artists of combat, turning violence into something almost beautiful in its efficiency. The abandoned military station floated in the darkness, orbiting a dying star that bathed everything in dark red light. This was the place where Unit Beko had been created 30 years ago. The place where 20 ordinary human soldiers had been transformed into something extraordinary. Taman guided his ship through the debris field surrounding the station. The Coalition had tried to destroy this place, but they had done a poor job. The main structure still stood, dead and silent like a tomb. "Are you sure about this?" Yuna asked from the co-pilot seat. "This could be a trap." "Everything is a trap now," Taman replied. But Deho was right. If Jiho left clues about Project Prometheus, they would be here. They docked with the station and entered through an emergency airlock. The interior was dark and cold. Their lights cut through the blackness as they moved deeper inside. Everything was exactly as Taman remembered it. The medical bays where they had received their enhancements. The training halls where they had learned to use their new abilities. The barracks where 20 soldiers had become brothers and sisters. So many ghosts here. They reached the main command center. Taman accessed the computer systems, surprised to find they still had emergency power. He searched through the old files looking for anything Jiho might have hidden. "There," Yuna said, pointing to the screen. "That file structure looks wrong. Like someone created a false directory to hide something underneath." Taman let her work. Yuna's fingers flew across the keyboard, breaking through security layers that should have been impossible to crack. Minutes later, she pulled up a hidden file. It was marked with Jiho's personal code. "This is it," Taman said quietly. The file contained coordinates, technical specifications, and a personal message from Jiho. Taman activated the message. A hologram of his old friend appeared, looking young and alive. Seeing him again after so many years made Taman's chest ache. "If you are watching this, I am probably dead," Jiho's hologram said with a sad smile. "And you are probably Taman, because no one else was paranoid enough to look for hidden files. Listen carefully, brother. Project Prometheus is not a weapon. It is evidence. Complete documentation of everything we discovered during the Shadow War. The truth about who opened the rifts and why." Taman leaned forward, his heart pounding. We found proof that Empress Valira caused the interdimensional invasion, Jiho continued. She used ancient technology to tear holes in reality. She wanted to create a crisis that would let her consolidate power across the entire coalition. She thought she could control the creatures that came through. She was wrong. She killed billions of people, Yuna whispered in horror. We saved the galaxy from a threat she created. Jiho's message continued. When we figured it out, we knew she would kill us to protect her secret. So I created Project Prometheus, a complete archive of all evidence uploaded to a secure location. The coordinates are in this file. If anything happens to Unit Baco, someone needs to expose the truth. Make them answer for what they did. The hologram flickered and disappeared. Taman sat in silence, processing what he had just learned. Everything made sense now. The elimination order. The cover-up. Valira had killed them to protect herself. We need to get to those coordinates, Yuna said. If we can retrieve that archive and broadcast it across the coalition, everyone will know what she did. She will try to stop us, Taman said. She knows we are looking for something. That is why she sent the Void Hunters. Then we move fast. Yuna downloaded the coordinates and stood. Come on, we need to go before someone finds us here. They hurried back toward their ship. But as they reached the docking bay, all the lights suddenly turned on. The station hummed to life. Taman spun around, weapon ready. Too late, a voice said. A woman's voice, cold and ancient. I am already here. Empress Valira stepped into the docking bay. She wore armor that seemed to be made of liquid silver. Her purple eyes glowed with power. Behind her, a dozen elite soldiers took positions, blocking all exits. Hello, Taman, Valira said. I have been looking forward to meeting you. Taman pushed Yuna behind him and aimed his weapon at the Empress. Let her go. This is between you and me. On the contrary, this involves everyone. Your friend there has information I cannot allow to spread. Valira walked closer, unconcerned by the weapon pointed at her. You are looking for Project Prometheus, I know. I have known since you visited Minho's station. Did you really think I would not be monitoring that old weapons dealer? Taman fired. The bullet should have struck Valira in the chest. Instead, it stopped in midair 3 feet from her body. An energy shield. The bullet clattered to the ground. You cannot hurt me with conventional weapons, Valira said. I have survived 600 years through power and preparation. I am beyond such things now. Why? Taman asked. Why did you do it? Why did you kill billions of innocent people? Because it was necessary. Valira's expression did not change. The coalition was falling apart. Hundreds of species fighting over territory and resources. Civil war was inevitable. I needed something that would unite them under a single banner. My banner. So you opened interdimensional rifts and let monsters kill entire worlds. I made a miscalculation, Valira admitted. I thought the creatures could be controlled. They could not. So I accepted Earth's offer of help. Your unit Baco saved the galaxy. For that you have my gratitude. Then why kill us? Taman's voice shook with rage. We saved you. We saved everyone. And you ordered us eliminated like we were nothing. Because you discovered my secret. Because soldiers like you with nothing to lose are the most dangerous force in the universe. Valira stopped a few feet away from him. You could not be controlled or threatened or bribed. So you had to be removed. You missed 5 of us. A mistake I am correcting now. Valira raised her hand. Surrender. Come with me peacefully and I will make your death quick. The girl as well. Or resist and die slowly while watching her suffer first. Taman looked at Yuna. She was terrified but trying to hide it. He thought about Jiho, about Daiho, about all the others who had died. He thought about the billions of innocent people Valira had sacrificed for her ambitions. I have a better idea, Taman said. He activated his wrist device and a signal transmitted across the station. Valira frowned. What did you do? I recorded our entire conversation, Yuna said, her fear replaced by defiant hope. And I just broadcast it across the entire coalition network. Every planet, every species, everyone now knows what you did. Valira's expression finally changed. Rage twisted her features. You fool! You have no idea what you have done. I exposed the truth, Taman said. The thing you were most afraid of. The truth? Valira laughed, but there was no humor in it. The truth will tear the coalition apart. Species will blame each other. There will be wars. Billions more will die because of what you just did. Maybe, Taman said, But at least they will die knowing the truth. They will know what you are. Valera's shield dropped. Power radiated from her body like heat from a star. Then there is no reason for restraint anymore. She moved faster than Taman expected. One moment she was standing still, the next she was in front of him. Her fist struck his chest and sent him flying backward through a wall. Pain exploded through his body. Ribs cracked. Blood filled his mouth. Taman struggled to his feet. Valera was already there. She grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Her strength was impossible. This was not just physical power. This was something else. 600 years, Valera said, her voice filled with cold fury. 600 years of careful planning and control. You destroyed it in one moment. She threw him across the docking bay. Taman crashed into his ship, denting the hull. His vision blurred. His enhancements were the only thing keeping him alive, but even they had limits. Yuna tried to run to him, but Valera's soldiers grabbed her. She struggled and screamed Taman's name. "Leave her alone," Taman gasped, forcing himself to stand. "You wanted me. Here I am." Valera walked toward him slowly. "You are brave. Stupid, but brave. I can respect that. In another life, you would have made a fine soldier in my service. I would rather die. That can be arranged." They fought. It was not a fair fight. Valera had centuries of experience and power that went beyond anything natural. But Taman had something she did not understand. He had nothing left to lose. No fear, no hesitation, just pure determination to make her pay. He landed hits that should have killed a normal being. Valera barely flinched. She struck back with precision and power that shattered his defenses. They destroyed the docking bay around them, turning it into a war zone. But slowly, impossibly, Taman began to adapt. His unit Baiko training kicked in fully. He stopped trying to overpower her and started using tactics. He struck at weak points. He used the environment. He fought smarter instead of harder. Valera noticed. For the first time in the fight, she looked surprised. "How are you still standing?" "Because I am human," Taman said through broken teeth. "We do not know when to quit." He tackled her toward the edge of the docking bay where the artificial gravity failed. They tumbled into space, still fighting. The dying star's gravity began to pull them both downward. Valera realized the danger and pushed away, but Taman grabbed her and held on. "If I die, you die with me." "You fool!" Valera struggled against his grip. Her power flared, trying to break free. "Let go." "Never." They fell toward the star together. The heat became unbearable. Taman's armor began to melt. His skin burned. But he did not let go. If this was how he died, then he would take the monster with him. Suddenly something grabbed Taman and yanked him away from Valera. A ship, small and fast, had swooped in and caught him with a gravity tether. He watched as Valera continued falling toward the star, her screams of rage echoing across the communication channels. Then an explosion of energy. Valera had used her power to escape the star's gravity. She hung in space, badly wounded but alive. She looked at Taman with pure hatred, then teleported away in a flash of light. The ship that had saved Taman docked with the station. The airlock opened and a woman stepped out. She was human, in her 40s, with short hair and a military bearing. She looked at Taman with knowing eyes. "Hello, Taman," she said. "My name is Somin. I am from Unit Baiko." Taman stared at her in shock. "Another survivor? How?" "That is a long story." Somin helped him to his feet. "But right now we need to leave. Valera will be back with her entire fleet. The whole galaxy just heard what she did. Things are about to get very messy." Yuna broke free from the confused soldiers and ran to Taman. "Are you okay?" "I am alive," he said, which was the best he could manage. As they boarded Somin's ship and fled the station, Taman looked back at the dying star. Somewhere out there, Valera was planning her revenge. The war had truly begun. But for the first time since Jiho's death, Taman felt hope. The truth was out. And he was not alone anymore. The galaxy burned with outrage. Within hours of the broadcast, protests erupted across thousands of worlds. The species that had lost billions to the interdimensional invasion now knew the truth. Empress Valera had caused it all. She had sacrificed entire civilizations for her own ambition. The Galactic Coalition fractured immediately. Half of the member species called for Valera's arrest and trial. The other half, those who depended on Chrysalian military might or feared the chaos that would follow her fall, stood by her. Within days, Skirmishes broke out along territorial borders. Within weeks, it was full civil war. And at the center of it all, humanity found itself thrust into a position it had never sought. The species that had saved the galaxy from Valera's mistake was now seen as a symbol of resistance against tyranny. Taman watched the news feeds from a safe house on the edge of Coalition space. His body was still healing from the fight with Valera. Burns covered his arms and chest. Several ribs were broken, but he was alive, which was more than he had expected. Soman sat across from him, cleaning a rifle with practiced hands. She had explained her story during the journey here. She had been working undercover in Valera's palace for 15 years, pretending to be a loyal guard while gathering intelligence. She was the one who had arranged for the 5-unit Baiko survivors to be hidden instead of killed. A coalition official with a conscience had helped her. "The entire coalition is talking about you," Soman said without looking up from her weapon. "They are calling you the human ghost who challenged an empress and lived." "I did not want to be famous," Taman replied tiredly. "I just wanted the truth to come out." "Well, it came out. And now we have to deal with the consequences." Yuna entered the room carrying food supplies. She had barely left Taman's side since the battle at the station. The human colonies are mobilizing. Earth is building its first real interstellar fleet. They are asking for you, Taman. They want you to lead them. "I am not a leader," Taman said. "I am just a soldier." "You are the soldier who made an empress retreat," Somin said, finally looking at him. "That makes you a symbol whether you want to be or not." Before Taman could respond, the communication system activated. A face appeared on the screen. An elderly alien with kind eyes and scales that had turned silver with age. This was Counselor Theros, one of the few coalition officials who had publicly condemned Valera. "Taman," Theros said, "I am glad to see you recovering. I have important information. Empress Valera is not retreating. She is gathering her forces for a massive assault." "On who?" Soman asked. "On Earth itself. She intends to make an example of humanity, to show the galaxy what happens to those who defy her." Taman felt ice in his veins. "When?" "Within 2 weeks. She is pulling together the largest fleet the Chrysalian Empire has ever assembled. Thousands of ships. If she reaches Earth, your homeworld will not survive." "Then we stop her before she gets there," Taman said, standing despite the pain in his body. "With what forces?" Theros asked. "Earth's fleet is still under construction. The species that oppose Valera are scattered and disorganized. We have numbers but no coordination, no unity." "Then we create unity," Soman said. "Taman, the human colonies trust you. The rebel species respect what you did. If you stand up and call for an alliance, they will follow. I told you, I am not a leader." "Then stop being a soldier and start being something more," Soman said firmly. "Jiho died to expose the truth. Deho died protecting innocence. Mion died fighting for others. Their sacrifices will mean nothing if Valera destroys Earth. You need to step up." Taman looked at Yuna. She nodded encouragingly. He looked at the screen where Counselor Theros waited. Then he thought about Earth, his homeworld, the planet where humanity had been born, where billions of people lived their lives, unaware that an ancient monster was coming to destroy them. He thought about Jiho's last words. Find the truth, make them pay. The truth was out. Now it was time to make Valera pay. "Tell the rebel species to meet at the Harken Nebula," Taman said. "I will be there in 3 days. We will form an alliance and we will stand between Valera and Earth." Theros smiled. "I will spread the word. Good luck, Taman. The galaxy is counting on you." The transmission ended. Taman stood in silence for a moment, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Then he started moving. There was too much to do and too little time. The next 3 days passed in a blur. Taman, Soman, and Yuna traveled to the Harken Nebula where dozens of species had gathered their ships. It was a strange alliance. Ancient enemies stood side by side, united only by their opposition to Valera. Taman addressed them all via holographic transmission. He did not give a grand speech, He was not good with words. He simply told them the truth. Valera was coming to destroy Earth as punishment for exposing her crimes. If she succeeded, she would hunt down every species that opposed her. They could run and hide, or they could stand and fight. The choice was theirs. Every species chose to fight. The alliance was formed. Earth's military command offered Taman a position as strategic advisor. He refused that too, insisting he worked better in the field. But he did coordinate with them, sharing tactics and intelligence. Soman took a more active leadership role, helping organize the diverse fleet into something resembling a unified force. Yuna became the Alliance's intelligence officer, using her hacking skills to monitor Valera's movements and disrupt her communications. 14 days after the broadcast, Valera's fleet arrived at Earth's solar system. Thousands of ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, blotting out the stars. At their center was Valera's flagship, a massive vessel that looked more like a fortress than a ship. The Alliance fleet stood between them and Earth. They were outnumbered, but not by as much as Valera had expected. The sight of so many species united against her made the Empress pause. For a moment, there was silence across the void of space. Then Valera broadcast a message to the entire fleet. Her image appeared on every screen, cold and terrible. "I gave the galaxy order," she said. "I gave you 600 years of relative peace. And this is how you repay me? By listening to one human soldier with a death wish? We listened to the truth." Taman's voice responded across all channels. He stood on the bridge of a human warship staring at Valera's image. "We listened to the evidence, we know what you did, and we are done letting you control us." "You cannot win this fight," Valera said. "My fleet will crush you, Earth will burn, and I will spend the next 600 years hunting down every species that stood against me today." "Maybe," Taman said, "but we will make you bleed for every inch. We will make you remember that you are not a goddess. You are just a tyrant who lived too long." Valera's expression twisted with rage. "Then die with your precious Earth." The battle began. It was the largest space battle in Coalition history. Thousands of ships exchanged fire across millions of miles. The void lit up with weapons fire and explosions. Ships on both sides died in fire and silence. The Alliance fleet fought with desperate courage. They had less advanced technology than Valera's forces, but they had something more important. They had a cause worth dying for. They had unity born from shared opposition to tyranny. Taman and Soman led special forces teams in small, fast ships. They struck at Chrysalion command vessels, disrupting their coordination. They destroyed supply ships and communication relays. They fought the way Unit Bako had taught them, using tactics and speed over raw power. The battle raged for hours. Earth's orbital defenses joined the fight. Human ships, barely finished and crewed by volunteers, threw themselves at the Chrysalian fleet with reckless bravery. The Alliance slowly pushed Valera's forces back, but at terrible cost. Then Valera made her move. Her flagship broke through the defensive lines and headed straight for Earth. She would not be denied her vengeance. Taman saw what was happening. "Soman, get everyone away from the flagship." "I am going in alone." "That is suicide," Soman replied over the communication channel. "Probably, but someone has to stop her." Taman set his course toward the massive flagship. "Tell Yuna I am sorry, and tell Earth that Unit Biko finished its mission." He cut the communication before Soman could argue. His small ship dodged through defensive fire and landed in the flagship's docking bay. Taman emerged and fought his way through corridors filled with enemy soldiers. His body screamed in pain from his unhealed wounds, but he pushed forward. He reached the command bridge where Valera waited. She stood alone, her silver armor glowing with power. Through the viewport behind her, Earth hung in space, blue and beautiful and fragile. "You should have stayed hidden," Valera said. "You could have lived out your life in peace." "There is no peace while you exist," Taman replied. They fought. It was even more brutal than their first battle. Valera held nothing back, using every bit of her 600 years of power and experience. Taman fought with everything Unit Beko had taught him, with all the grief and rage he had carried for 15 years. The bridge tore apart around them. Consoles exploded. The viewport cracked. They were both wounded, bleeding, exhausted, but neither would stop. Taman finally saw his opening. Valera's power came from ancient technology implanted in her body. Technology that made her immortal and gave her impossible strength. He remembered the schematics from Project Prometheus. He knew where that technology was located. He tackled Valera and drove his combat knife into the spot where the main power core rested in her chest. Energy exploded outward. Valera screamed, not in pain but in rage and disbelief. No, she gasped as her power failed. Not like this. Not to a human. Yes, Taman said. To a human. Because we do not give up. We do not surrender. And we do not forget. Valera fell to her knees, without the technology sustaining her. 600 years of age caught up to her body all at once. She looked at Taman with eyes that held rage, fear, and something else. Something that might have been relief. You showed me fear, she whispered. Thank you. I had forgotten I could feel anything. Then she aged rapidly, her body turning to dust in seconds. The Empress who had ruled for 600 years was gone. Taman collapsed next to her remains. He had won, but the cost was everything. His body was failing. Too many wounds. Too much damage. He was dying. Somin burst onto the bridge with a medical team. They rushed to him, trying to stabilize his injuries. Through failing vision, Taman saw Earth through the cracked viewport. Still there. Still safe. Did we win? He asked weakly. The Chrysalian fleet is retreating, Somin said, tears in her eyes. Valera's death broke their command structure. Earth is safe. The galaxy is free. You did it, brother. Good, Taman whispered. He thought of Jiho, of Deho, of Mion, of all the others who died. Tell them I am coming home. Tell them the mission is finally over. He closed his eyes, ready to rest at last. But he woke up 3 days later in a medical facility orbiting Earth. Somin and Yuna were there, exhausted but smiling. You are too stubborn to die, Somin said with a relieved laugh. The doctors said he would recover, though it would take time. The galaxy was recovering too, with Valera gone. The coalition was reforming under new leadership with real representation for all species. Councillor Theros had become the provisional leader, working to build something better from the ashes. Humanity had earned its place as equals among the stars. The species that had once dismissed them now respected them. Earth would never be underestimated again. Taman refused all offers of medals and titles. He did not want to be a hero or a legend. He had done what needed to be done. Nothing more. 6 months after the battle, Taman stood in a quiet village on Earth. It was spring and the cherry blossoms were blooming. He had bought a small house here, far from cities and spaceports. A place to be human again, not a soldier. Somin visited him sometimes. She had taken a position training Earth's new military, making sure they learned the lessons Unit Bako had paid for in blood. Yuna came too, bringing news of the rebuilding galaxy and terrible jokes that made him smile despite himself. Taman tended a small garden and walked through the village. Children played in the streets. Old people sat in the sun. Life continued simple and beautiful. Nobody here knew he was the warrior who had challenged an empress. He was just Taman, the quiet man who lived at the edge of town. And that was exactly what he wanted. One evening, as the sun set over the mountains, Taman sat on his porch and looked at the sky. Up there, among those stars, people were building a better future. A future his fallen brothers and sisters had died to make possible. We did it, he said quietly to the ghosts who would always walk beside him. We made them pay. We made it matter. The warrior who had made an empress tremble had won his hardest battle, not the battle for the galaxy, but the battle for his own humanity. And for the first time in 15 years, Taman felt peace.